Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we are looking at a truly new Arc Warlock build. It's not new just because we got a new Arc aspect this season, it's new because we're ripping an exclusive exotic out of the hands of hunters. Just last month, this loadout that you're looking at was impossible, but with a bug now turned feature, all classes can use any previously restricted exotic. So this build is going to revolve around the previous Hunter exclusive glaive, Edge of Concurrence. And if you still think these glaives are bad, you're simply wrong. Years of constant buffs, some as recent as this episode actually, have made these glaives great options, especially when we have our chosen Warlock exotic, turning these glaives into a source of immortality. And then on top of all that, our artifact turns an incredible build up to 11. All of this will be explained with timestamps down below for your convenience alongside the dim link. And while you're down there, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next build. Now then, starting with the exotic glaive, the way these work have changed a lot since their release. Its main perk states melee and projectile damage charge this weapon. When fully charged, hold reload to enable a special ranged attack. Sustained projectile damage causes targets to become jolted. Now looking at this in game, it's easily the most improved part of the exotic. The first part is the weapon charge down here. Previously, these glaives required blocking energy and ammo, but now that's not the case. To get a charge, deal any damage with the glaive. Melees and projectiles each count for 1. Then once you get that fully charged, our reticle is going to change a bit and we can hold reload to have our next shot launch a very powerful Arc Seeker. Also, one of the best buffs these glaives receive is that when priming our special shot, we actually generate 1 ammo, so you can always use it, even if you're zeroed. Also, the description of the Seeker is our other exotic perk, which reads, when weapon is fully charged, consume charge before firing to make your next shot track targets across the ground, jolting them and unleashing chain lightning on impact. Now as for the potency of the Seeker, it deals a surprising amount of damage while also jolting whatever it hits. We can see the damage number here being just under 70,000, and then if we also factor in just 1 jolt proc, we get another 5,000 damage. And as you may know, jolt is a fantastic add clear tool, while also being anti-overload. And this isn't the only source of jolt from this weapon either. Landing 3 projectiles will cause your 4th shot to jolt as well. This is very similar to the new jolting feedback perk. But with the specifics of Edge of Concurrence discussed, I want to mention this glaive feels phenomenal. Being able to charge up your special attack with both melee and ranged damage while also being able to activate that shot regardless of ammo is very powerful. The amount of jolt and add clear you get from the glaive is pretty crazy. But while our weapon gives us a ton of lethality, our exotic armor piece is focused on survivability. The piece chosen for this build could be nothing else but Karnstein Armlets. This exotic trait reads melee and finisher final blows instantly grant cure and provide restoration for a short duration. I'm sure the synergy here isn't hard to see. Glaive melee kills give us that cure and restoration. We can see it happening here as a glaive kill fully replenishes our health, being that cure times 3. And then we also get restoration times 1 for 8 seconds. And there is no cooldown on this. You can just slay out and be constantly healing. And then finishers are actually even crazier if you do them, giving you restoration times 2 for 8 seconds. And what's fantastic is if you can keep up the melee kills after getting a finish, it will actually continuously refresh the restoration times 2 timer. Also, while on the topic of melee kills, it's a good time to point out that Glaive Melee got buffed with the start of this episode. They got a bunch of general changes, but the 3rd hit in the combo now deals double damage than what it previously did. So that buff makes getting Karnstein to proc very easy, even in in-game content. So with that said, putting these 2 exotics together already gives you an incredible amount of synergy. You get lethality and survivability, which is some of the best in the game. But to turn this into a true build, we're looking to synergize with our Edge of Concurrence by utilizing the Arc Warlock kit. So our abilities, starting with the super, you can run either. If you want some boss damage, Chaos Reach is fantastic as always. If you need a kind of get out of jail free card and a faster cooldown, Storm Trance is definitely the way I'd go. Next is our class ability, which can also be either, but I tend to lean towards Healing Rift. Our melee is Chain Lightning for the jolt on demand, although to be honest, you can't use melee abilities while you have a glaive out, so this doesn't see too much use. Then our grenade is Storm Grenade for the lethality and AoE. Then onto our aspects, we're using the new Ionic Sentry. This gives us access to blind, bolt charge, and some more add clear with the turret. The way this aspect works, if you didn't know, is that it's almost identical to the way our glaive works. We have this meter, and it increases by 1 with kinetic or arc kills, or 2 with any arc ability kills. And once it's full, it overwrites our grenade to become the Ionic Sentry, and you can see that here. But using our grenade, we'll have it placed down, and when it is placed down, it's going to blind everything near it and start zapping enemies while giving us bolt charge for each hit, which can then be spent with any ability damage from ourselves, including the turret. This thing is fantastic, and if you haven't got it from Ikora yet, I really recommend that you do. But for our second aspect, we run Electrostatic Mind. This one exists so that we can pump out Ionic Traces, which, as we can see, collecting them gives us a small amount of ability energy for everything. But the main reason we like Ionic Traces is because of our fragments and how they build into constant bolt charged induced lightning strikes. The first one is Spark of Discharge. This causes every third arc weapon kill to spawn an Ionic Trace. Only the glaive projectile counts as weapon kills though. Unfortunately, the melee doesn't. But more importantly, every Ionic Trace we pick up gives us a stack of bolt charge. And we'll see how important that is as we look at our next fragments. Next is Spark of Ions, so defeating jolted targets or killing with a lightning strike gives us an Ionic Trace, and thus another bolt charge stack. Then our next is Frequency, which gives us some bonuses when dealing melee damage, but most importantly, while amplified, it doubles every bolt charge stack we get. And then our last fragment is Resistance, so that we get some damage resist, maybe the most important thing in the endgame. So as you can see, our fragments just build into getting more Ionic Traces and more bolt charge. But moving out of our subclass, we can look at our other weapons, armor stats and mods, and then the artifact. For our other weapons, these can be whatever is necessary for your activity. Cater them to champions, have your heavy B for damage or long range encounters. Just try to make up for what Edge of Concurrence can't do, which champion wise is only barriers. The weapons I was running was a sidearm for barriers and a machine gun in case anything was too far for the glaive. But a rocket, GL, or linear are also great options. Then for our armor, starting with the stats, resilience is always spot number 1. Next is discipline, and then our last focus is recovery. The extras go into strength and intellect, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Then for the mods, the helmet has an arc siphon for orbs from Edge of Concurrence, and an ashes to assets for super on grenade kills. Our arms have a firepower for orbs from grenade kills, and a bolstering detonation to give us a little bit of class energy gains when tossing that grenade. Chest is for resist, just cater to your activity. Legs are all about picking up orbs, recuperation for a chunk of health on orb pickup, innovation for some grenade, and absolution for a bit of everything, which also doubles up into the grenade as well. And our bond has the tried and true special finisher and powerful attraction combo with a proximity ward, which is very important, so that when we go for the finish and the ×2 restoration from Karnstein Armlets, we don't die thanks to the massive overshield. And then moving on from armor, before we look at the gameplay loop, we have the artifact with a number of fantastic perks. First is Unstoppable Glaive, which allows Edge of Concurrence to stun both unstops and overloads by itself. Next is Hold the Line for increased reload speed and some healing. It's a lot less than Karnstein and has a long cooldown, but it's still worth taking. Then we have Dielectric, so that we can get bolt charge stacks from debuffed enemy kills, which with our subclass means we'll technically be getting at least 4 stacks from any kill on a jolted enemy. You can also boost it for even more healing and more orbs. And next to that is Flashover, mainly so our bolt charges deal insane amounts of damage. And then we also have No Bell, where rapid glaive melee final blows grant special ammo glaives additional ammo. And blocking damage with glaives increases their melee damage to targets. And this is actually worth looking at in game, with it granting +2 ammo on a melee double kill, and it increases our glaive melee's damage when blocking damage by 85%. As you can see, it increased from 14k damage to 26k damage. This mod just helps activate Karnstein Armlets even in very underlevel content. And then our last perk is Defibrillating Blast, so our bolt charges jolt and heal us whenever they go off, alongside getting a free bolt charge whenever we stun a champion. So now, the entire build has been broken apart and revealed to you, but now it's time to put it back together with the gameplay loop. Simply to start, we're looking to scrap. We want in the enemy's face getting kills with our Edge of Concurrence. We want to score some melee kills specifically so that we can activate Karnstein and give ourselves restoration. While you're getting your first couple kills, try to finish something so that you're refreshing resto ×2 instead of resto ×1. But as you score these kills, you'll be charging up your Arc Seeker and your Ionic Sentry. Drop whichever you get first to begin the perpetual Ionic Trace and Bolt Charge generator. Our Glaive, Ionic Sentry, and Bolt Charges will be arc debuffing enemies, which these enemies, when killed, will activate our Fragments and Electrostatic Mind, giving us even more Ionic Traces for ability energy and more bolt charge spam. The Chain Lightning and Ad Clear from our Glaive is going to make sure we're always dropping Ionic Sentries And because of our artifact, we'll be generating glaive ammo and increasing our melee output, allowing us to stay in the fight. You really only need to swap off the glaive if a barrier shows up, or if you want to super in order to clear a boss or you're in a risky spot. My one main tip here is don't hold on to any of your abilities, super included. This whole build is just getting kills and using your subclass and weapon abilities as soon as they come up. If you don't use them on cooldown, you'll just be wasting what could be 2 or 3 more ability casts. And I think that's everything I really have to say. Thank you so much for getting this far into the video. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think of this build down below. Of course, a dim link is down there too. And while you're down there, again, please don't forget to subscribe. If you want to support me, support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription does go a very long way. You can also join if you want to go the extra mile. If you want to support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below, illegal build, because it's kind of funny. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.